The most important meal of the day, second breakfast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another Second Breakfast podcast. I'm Andy Roth alongside Phil Duvall. Say hi, Phil.
Andy, do you know what character the world has, like, history has been kind to in retrospect? Attila the Hun. Because no one thinks anything negative about Attila the Hun because his name is ridiculous. And people don't really recognize him as anything bad anymore. They're like, Attila the Hun. Because it's so much, by the time you get to the word Hun, you're already laughing. You're like, Attila the Hun.
I couldn't disagree with you more. I don't think
Really?
a single good thing about Attila the Hun.
You don't think anything... No, but every time you would ever use his name, it's comical.
Yeah, but it's like derisive laughter. It's not like I'm not laughing with the dude. Clearly.
I understand, but I'm just saying, like, people, like, he inspired fear in the hearts of people for generations, and now we're like,
True.
you like Attila the Hun?
See, I was with you until that last thing. Who are you hanging out with? What, like, octogenarian Jews are you hanging out with that talk like that and
they're not Jews, but I do hang out with octogenarians. I run a church. That means that literally half the time I'm hanging out with octogenarians.
I understand that. How often are they talking about Attila the Hun?
Man, I had a nickel for every time.
You'd have at least enough for a soda?
I would have, and soda's getting expensive. Can we be honest? Soda costs money.
Yes, indeed. So, folks, what we're doing today,
Oh, man.
Phil is sorely lacking in a significant area of his education, and that is true for no one except for in my own head.
We're talking about calculus, right?
We're talking about horror movies, Phil.
Oh, darn it.
Horror movies.
I shouldn't have done all those math problems before this thing.
It's true. Well, I mean, that's always true, right?
It's true.
Yeah. Phil has not seen very many horror movies. He doesn't consider himself a horror movie fan, and I am just kind of a jerk, and I just sort of don't accept that. And at the same time as I don't accept that, Phil's like, maybe 2013 is the year I become a horror movie fan?
It might be.
But it's weird because he doesn't say that ever with any joy. It's not like...
I'm not pleased with this development. Do you know what movie is definitely... Do you know what movie is going to help make me more of a horror fan?
What's that?
Not The Ruins.
No?
Nope, not The Ruins.
And we're talking about the... what we're doing is called Horror School. I set him an assignment. I make him watch a horror movie, and then we talk about it. And
really, it's Andy. It's an education.
It's true.
Horror school and education for Philip Duvall. Here's the thing, Andy. I am but the student. You are the teacher. You mold me, and it is not mine to question your taste or your motives at all, and nor would I pretend it is. I have to admit, I was, throughout the time I watched this film, fascinated that you had chosen this as part of my education. I have some guesses as to why that might be, but I don't know.
Okay.
It's certainly not a classic.
I would agree with that.
And that's okay.
I think I would be and I'm not trying to be maudlin here. I think I would be a terrible teacher if you didn't question my taste. I think it is my job to get you to question my taste.
You don't have to try to be maudlin.
That I know, right? Jeez, do I come by it honestly? Okay. So tell me, what did you think of The Ruins? Wait. For the next few minutes, folks, we're going to go non-spoilers, and then...
Oh, we are? Okay.
Are we?
No.
Okay. No.
Come
We're
on.
just going to dive right in.
Guys, it's a horror movie.
Four American tourists...
we can go spoil. Well, you say as much as you want. We'll see how it goes. How about that? We'll
Four
try to be
American
gentle.
tourists in Mexico find out about these ruins, a Mayan temple / pyramid, and they decide to go on their last day in Mexico, and things go wrong. Horribly wrong. Yes.
Awry.
Yes. Pear-shaped.
Never heard of that. I like that.
It's British. I think.
That's they say things get messed up. Things got pear-shaped.
Things went pear-shaped. Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Right. And as they are wont to do in horror movies. And I'll leave it there for now. What'd you
It
think?
was like it was well. There were attractive people in it.
It's true.
It was inventive, I
Yes.
guess.
Yeah.
It was like the prequel to Shyamalan's The Happening.
Nice. I like it.
Spoiler: plants kill people.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, here's the deal. There was never a moment in this movie where I was surprised. Literally never a moment when I was surprised.
Okay.
Doesn't mean it was bad, but I was never like, first of all, it was obvious that it was the plants almost immediately. If you didn't know that from the poster,
Right.
then you know it almost immediately.
Can I say something about that real quick? I don't know how I missed the poster, but I actually didn't know what it was until it was revealed in the movie. Like, I didn't go into the movie knowing.
Right. But it's how quickly do you think you got it?
Well,
Okay.
when Jenna Malone steps on the plants and all the Mayans go insane, I was like, okay. But I don't know that I made the leap from
When they threw one of the plants and the little kid touches it and they shoot the kid, I'm like, oh well, it's the plants.
Yeah,
and the fact that you guys don't recognize that.
No, but that's before. Well, sorry, that's before they realize what the plant that the plants do it. But that's after we as the viewer realize the plants are doing it.
Nope.
Yes.
No, it isn't.
Yes.
No, they shoot that kid like right when things start to go crazy. And they shoot that. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, like, and then they go. Well, here's what I'm saying. When they walk up the top of that pyramid, like the moment they start to walk up it, I'm like, oh well, they're not coming down. First of all,
that's true.
And I knew it. And by the way, I was never bored, and I was never angry. And I want to say that because I am criticizing the movie right out of the gates, but it is a well crafted B movie. It is a very well crafted, like it does as much as one can do with The Plants Are Killing Us. And it's a much better The Plants Are Killing Us movie than The Happening.
Oh God, I haven't even seen The Happening. I know that's true. Here's the deal. Here's where I'm going to push back. Okay, just a little. You're telling me that when the two girls were down in the thing when they were getting Matthias, and they heard the cell phone, you weren't surprised by what ensued there? That wasn't something that surprised you?
Well, I mean,
because as a friend
oh, you mean as far as
say,
like being like, oh, it's not really a phone? Like, is that what you mean?
That, and also when she touches it and all of the walls start to move.
Oh no! It's not like I was like I knew that was going to happen.
Okay,
but I was like,
right.
So for instance, when they walked down there, I was like, oh well, they're not. I mean, I was surprised they even got back up.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, oh no, don't go in that room. And I mean, I know it's one of those things that like that's one of those big jokes about horror movies.
Right.
Oh, don't go in that room. But really, this show does that like just nonstop.
Yeah, but actually, I'm gonna push back even harder on that. I don't think that. I mean, the kid who's going to medical school is clearly a smart guy, and none of them are idiots. But these aren't like all members of Mensa who are stuck in this thing,
because you and I are Mensa eligible,
right.
Like
Hang on, because I actually want to hear what you think about this.
Okay, go ahead.
They do those things, right? They do the don't go in there and they go in there. But there's always a reason for it. It's not a stupid thing that they do. I mean, they say it. They're like, I don't want to go in there, but they think there's a cell phone in there. And if it's ringing, it has reception. And they
I understand.
They need something.
I hear you. I do. I hear you.
And what I think, and I don't just mean that. I mean the entire movie. I think that it actually does.
Oh no, like I think it's I wasn't. I think it's well crafted. I guess
sure.
It to me was like, what's a horror movie? Okay, we've got the hot kids. Okay, one of them might be slutty. One of them's really smart. Okay, check. Okay,
right.
Oh, they're going somewhere that they just obviously shouldn't go with someone they don't know. Okay, check. Like, oh, like things start to go crazy, and it's fairly obvious from the beginning what's going, at least on some level, what's going on, but they don't
Right.
really get it. Check. All right, they're going to go somewhere they shouldn't go. Check. All right. Like it just to me was like every, and maybe the interesting thing about it is that I was never scared, and it's really just because I'm not scared of plants. Like
It's fair.
like the Descent,
Yeah.
those monsters are totally fake, and I'm not scared of them because they don't really exist. But watching it was terrifying.
Interesting.
But
Interesting.
I'm not really
I
scared of plants attacking
this
me.
movie scared the pee out of me. I have no
Wow.
problem. I have no problem admitting it.
Oh,
And
I would
and
admit it. I mean, other things scare me, so I'm not scared of saying something scares me.
and maybe. Oh no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't assume that that's what you were doing. Maybe it is that a premise that should make me laugh, like at the unintentional humor. Like it isn't plants like it's not just plants killing people. It's plants actively eating people. Like you know what I mean? Like
Oh no, there's icky stuff to it, and I
like
actually think that if I'm being honest, I think that there are like I was visualizing plants crawling up inside of me and stuff like that later on, and so that's bad for my
sure,
heart.
sure.
So that's good.
Um,
Um,
but also, I just think, I will go back to that scene because I think that is the scariest single moment in the movie when she touches the flower and everything, like the entire thing. I mean, oh well, first it grabs her, like the vines come from beneath the flower bud and it grabs her hand, and that honestly, I was like, I
yeah.
was I as a friend of ours would say, I jumped out of my skin and danced around in my bones when that happened. I literally, and it happened to me again today when I was watching it. I was like, oh my god, I knew it was coming, and it scared me. And I think the other thing is something that I thought was really interesting was they are outside for almost the entire movie. Like they are
Mm,
in the tent for 2 scenes, 3 scenes, and they almost immediately leave again, right?
right.
And it still felt unbelievably claustrophobic.
Oh, I agree with that. Well, that's because they're stuck on. Even if they're outside, they're stuck on top of that thing.
Yeah, but there were, but I think it was. I don't think it was brilliantly shot. I agree with you. It's a B movie, but I think when you say well crafted, I think that's one of the things they did the best job of. I think it was shot in a way that you never get this. I mean, obviously you know they're in the open air, but you never get the sense that they're in the open air, if that makes any sense at all.
It does make sense.
You know, um, the acting is better than you would normally find in a quote unquote dumb teenagers do dumb stuff horror movie.
Okay, I'm ready to talk about that.
Okay,
Jenna Maloney
I think it's just
or
Malone.
Jenna Malone, Gina
Yes,
Malone.
Jenna Malone.
Fine. I don't know why this is. I have two
Okay,
things to say about her.
please.
One, while she is not the most stunningly beautiful woman that ever hit the world, like Christina Hendricks style, or my wife style, um, something about her renders me incapable of objective judgment of her abilities.
Okay.
She is a witch. She casts a spell. I don't. It's not like there are women that I mean. If you had the list of like who are the most beautiful women in the world, I wouldn't be like, oh, you got to put
Jenna
Gina
Malone on there.
Malone, in there. That wouldn't
Right.
like. I mean, ScoJo's on there. J Law is on there. Um, like I said, Christina Hendricks is on there. There's people that are on there,
Sure.
but like I wouldn't have said Jenna Malone. But the entire time I was watching her, I was like, I am incapable of thinking rationally about you. So that's fascinating to me. Um, that's an interesting category. There's a couple Zoe Deschanel's in that category for me.
Sure.
Didn't just say her name with the other people, but I'm incapable of rational thought. So apparently, Jenna Malone, incapable of rational thought.
Okay.
That's numero uno. Numero dos. Jenna Malone's an artist. She does artsy fartsy weird stuff and smart
Agreed.
stuff and dark stuff. I was really shocked that she was in this movie because to me it was a paint by numbers like horror movie, and she was in it. Very confusing, and basically playing a typical character. I mean, she was fine. She was great. Everybody in it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, how about this? You know what? I'm done for a little bit. What did you love about this movie?
Because it was a paint by numbers horror movie that was just so well done that I felt it got elevated. I really do.
So okay,
I really do feel it's elevated by the performances, by the way it was shot, at least insofar it sets the mood, you know, I'm so glad. It's so funny that you mentioned The Descent, another movie I find abjectly terrifying.
I found them very similar in certain ways.
Here, let me tell you the way I find it most similar, at least in this part of the or at least most relatable to this part of the conversation. The Descent. Spoiler for everybody. Oh, you already said it.
Yeah.
There are bat people living in the caves and blah blah.
Whatever
blah.
they are,
right?
They are terrifying.
I find them scary, even though yes, clearly they don't exist. Please God, let them not exist. But that movie is terrifying before the bat people show up, because they are trapped underground and one of them has a broken leg. That is terrifying. Terrifying.
Yep.
You're in Mexico. You're stuck on a pyramid. One of you speaks fluent Spanish, and yet you cannot communicate with people who are keeping you there and who will kill you if you try to leave. Yep. That is already terrifying. Before you get to plants eating people, that's terrifying.
I liked that. I liked that, but it was one of those things where. So, for instance, I'm going to compare this movie to Wreck. Okay. Recordar.
Yes.
Which is. We realize they're being quarantined, but it doesn't mean we actually think they're never going to get out.
Okay.
But in this movie, the moment I realized that those guys were there, I was like, "Oh, you're never getting out.
Yeah,
like,
you're done.
You're done. Y'all are gonna die, and now it's just a matter of time for me watching it."
Yeah.
And I mean, there's some really inventive stuff, but I mean, they figured out the flower thing interested me almost not at all, and the idea of flowers that mimic sound or whatever, it's fine. They did a good job with it. I don't care.
Sure.
Really, it's all about figuring out ways for them to show vines crawling up people. Yes. That's it. That's all that really matters.
Sure.
Vines crawling into open wounds. Do you see the face that I'm making?
Yes.
If you're listening to us, you can still see the face I'm making because it's so disgusting. Because I want you to think about having an open wound and then having a vine crawl into it quickly. You are now creeped out, aren't you? Yeah. Exactly. You are all creeped out.
Very briefly, if I can interrupt you just very briefly, and then I want to hear you continue. But another thing I appreciate about this movie, there's a whole lot of effective gore, but it's not pervasive. It seems like there's more than there is because a lot of it happens towards the end. But all of it, I just think it's done really well. Like, a lot of it is suggested in the first part of the movie.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm with you. Yeah. No, I mean, I think you're right. Like I said, I'm. Here's the deal, right? Here are the movies you've had me watch so far.
Mm-hmm.
Halloween.
Yeah.
The Omen.
Yeah.
American Werewolf in London.
Yes.
And Recordar.
Yes.
So,
all of which, the first one was one you had me watch.
Evil Dead, and The House of a Thousand Corpses,
which you had me watch.
Right.
So
I guess this is okay. Well, no, this is fine.
Yes.
It's just that I think I was prepared for a classic.
All of those except. Well, I don't think Evil Dead 2013 is a classic, and I don't think.
Sure. Well, I was going to watch that. I was going to watch that anyway.
No, right. No. Please, there's no judgment here. Certainly not directed at you. Well, sure. Yes. Well, okay. There's a lot of judgment.
I'm teasing.
But none of it's directed at you. Yes. But here's so I guess part of my motive for showing you this at this point in horror school is, Phil, if you're gonna be a horror fan, you're going to have to watch some crappy movies. And I didn't make you watch a crappy movie. to prove that point. I hope. I hope you didn't feel that this was a crappy movie. It doesn't sound like you thought that. But does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it's not a crappy movie, but it's not a classic either.
Yeah, but
And
Phil, we're almost done with horror movies with legitimately horror movies. Like, I'm not talking about Hitchcock
makes me
movies that can. I mean, it is what it is. You've already seen the Romero zombie movies. You gave me a list of horror movies you've seen. Like, there aren't a lot of horror movies that are universally considered classics. I have had you watch most of those. The Omen, American Werewolf in London. These are Halloween. These are movies that the overwhelming majority of people who have anything to say about horror movies consider pillars of the genre. There just aren't as many pillars of the genre as there are for just about any other genre. I mean that's them's the breaks. You know what I mean? And
I haven't seen Friday the 13th 1 or 2.
they're terrible. I know maybe that marks me.
But I have to see them. No, but I still have to see them.
I don't know that that's true. And
it's Friday the 13th, Andy.
Let me tell you why. You've already seen it done better in Halloween, and you've seen other slasher movies besides Halloween. I'm guessing.
But it's Friday the 13th.
Okay. Look, I'm not going to... Okay, let me put it this way. I'm not going to stop you from seeing Friday the 13th. I would never stop you from seeing any movie ever. But I am not ever going to assign it for
I would hope you would stop me from seeing a Joel Schumacher film if you could.
Do I have to?
I'm not said I do. I'm hoping. I'm hoping.
Fair enough.
Unless it's The Lost Boys or Falling Down, then it's
Indeed.
okay.
I would stop if you tried to rewatch Batman and Robin. I would tie you to a chair. I would face you.
I think if I
from the
ever
TV,
have to watch that again, I may stab myself in the eyes.
Right. I would try to get you before that point, but as long as you stabbed yourself in the eyes, I wouldn't feel too bad because at least you weren't.
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
Robin.
There was a point in the movie where the girl goes crazy and starts cutting herself.
Yes.
And then the one guy comes up to stop her, and she turns around and almost stabs him.
Yes.
And then the other guy walks up and does the exact same thing.
Not boyfriend.
And he had been watching. No, but he'd been watching. And then she stabs him in the heart, and he dies.
I mean, look. I'm not going to tell you that that's not a stupid thing that he did.
And I love that about. I think this is a very interesting aspect of horror movies is that people do really stupid things.
Yeah, but again, and look, it either got you or it didn't, and it clearly on some level didn't get you. Yeah. Literally none of their actions seemed out of character for me. It didn't seem like.
Oh, sure. I was just like, no, not out of character. Just I was like, all right. Here's the deal. I was creeped out at certain points. I thought it was as inventive as a movie can be about plants that kill you. I repeat, never scared, not once. I was horrified a couple times, which isn't the same thing.
Sure.
But for some reason, the inevitability, like I literally was like, nah, they're all going to die. And
what I find fascinating is that what made it not scary for you isn't the fact that they were killer carnivorous plants, but that you knew what was going to happen.
It's both. No, it's both.
Okay.
That on one hand, I was like, I'm not scared of plants. Look if they were spiders, we wouldn't be talking right now because you'd have to be peeling me off the walls, okay? Like, if this was a movie about cockroaches, we wouldn't even, like, I would have no face because I would have chewed it off myself out of fear, okay? I'm not a strong man. Plants have yet to scare me. Also, I think a big part of it is, Andy, I would just never go to the jungle. Like,
that is absolutely true. Like, you've already...
There's a list of places I would never go. Like, so for instance, if they were in Mexico and they're like, I have an idea, we're going to go off this beaten path to a place no one's ever been, but my girlfriend's there, but you just met me 5 minutes ago. I'd be like, no.
Yep. Have a wonderful time.
Like, remember when there's a point where Gina Malone is drunk or hungover and she's like, I'm just going to wait.
Yes.
Fine. She's like, I'm going to wait till you guys... We're never going to talk. We're not friends. She could call me Philippe. It's all right. I'll call her Gina. She'd call me Philippe. Where Jenna Malone's character is like, maybe I don't go And I was like, no, clearly you don't go. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, it's not even like, I wasn't even like, oh, well, it could be fun. I'm like, no, this is the death of you.
Instead,
Like,
you were
this is the
like,
death of you.
maybe. What's this?
Maybe.
Maybe.
You use this hangover as the greatest. But the best part was, it wasn't even because I was like certain death. I was like, if I was on vacation in Mexico and I had been drinking, and the next morning, even if I hadn't, you know what? Even if I hadn't been drinking,
Right.
let's say I had no drinking. I'm on vacation in Mexico. We're leaving in 24 hours, and my whole crew that I've been partying with all week is like, "Hey, we're gonna go to some ruins. Actually, we're gonna go pretty much anywhere." I'd be like, "Y'all have a good time. I will see you when you get back."
Right.
And they'd be like, "Really?" And even if I hadn't been drinking, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm hungover." Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember you drinking last night. Oh, when you all went to bed, I got trashed.
Well, it's
really?
like- it's
Sure.
like- My girlfriend's in a bikini. Her best friend's in a bikini. Everyone around us is in a bikini. Or I could traipse through the jungle to a ruin that is not on any map.
Done. It's already
Right.
you had me at bikini. It really is that simple.
You're right. You're right.
And but you got to understand me, okay? Like we have friends that like when they went on their honeymoons or were like we backpacked across Australia, you know, and it's like my requirement for where we went on our honeymoon was that there needed to be a DVD player in the hotel room. And I'm not kidding, Andy.
I didn't think you were. That's marvelous.
My wife said, I want to go somewhere where we don't have to do a lot and there's just a place we can sit and it has to be beautiful. And I said, that's great. And when we walk inside, there needs to be a DVD player.
Awesome.
So if you want to understand the ridiculousness that is me, I watched the entire first season of 24 in Bora Bora. Like,
That's awesome.
there you have it.
That's amazing.
You know, because every time that we weren't snorkeling and enjoying paradise, we were watching a show. It's just I don't. That's how I work.
Who are you working for?
Who are you working for? Who are you working for? I love Jack Bauer so much. I really do, and I love everything about it. I don't even feel bad about it. I'll tell you this though. I really like from the moment they were like, "Oh, we should go." No.
Right.
First of all, if you meet a German, don't go places that he asks you to go. That's ridiculous. Pay attention to history at
ready
all.
for this? Do you know who played the German? First
Some
off,
some English guy that was in the Gray.
do you know who he was in the Gray? When
No.
they're running.
Is he one of the wolves?
Yes, he was the wolf.
Okay, got it.
I'm gonna pick the worst horror movie in the world. It's not gonna be scary.
I
It's
assumed
gonna
you already would. I have to talk to you about that before the show ends. I have an idea, but go ahead.
Okay, I already know what you're seeing next.
Sure.
But I will listen to
Okay.
other viewpoints.
Okay.
Right after when they make their first break from the plane, and they're heading towards the woods, but there's that great expanse, and the one guy is in the back, and he's like, "Wait, guys, wait," and he gets cut down.
Yep.
That's him.
Oh.
Yeah.
He didn't last very long.
Flannery or whatever the guy.
I need to see it again. I haven't seen it since I saw it in the theater.
Oh man.
I know.
Oh heck yeah, you do.
So-
So I want to talk more. Because look, in much the same way as you're like, it was fine, and then you said some things that were criticisms. I'm going to say some things that I thought were really great. I don't want any of this to imply that I don't think it is just a solidly made B horror movie.
Yeah. No.
Right.
I think we're all on the same page here.
Except what I find interesting about that is I don't have any problem telling you that many things scare me. I confess to you, plants isn't on my list either, and yet these plants did. So normal like horror movie tropes. You got a hot girl sometime, probably in the first
Can I
half
say
of the movie.
something?
You're going to see her naked.
You have two hot girls, actually.
It's true.
in this movie.
At some point, usually the blonde, in this one it's the blonde as well, you're gonna see her naked, right? You see this one naked. But
not during sex.
not during sex, just I'm a girl and the only other person in the room is my boyfriend, and I'm getting out of the shower and blah blah blah. Yes. And I will not pretend that part of it is not the salacious, titillating, we're going to show a hot girl naked. But also, I find it extremely interesting that that character is the one that suffers the most physically and has the most physical damage done to her. They are showing you her, and I mean this in the truest sense of the word, pristine body. As in, she hasn't carved herself up like a Thanksgiving turkey yet.
Right.
And then, more than anybody else in the movie, you see her dealing with the vines inside of her and cutting herself open. And by the end of the movie, she isn't wearing pants, and her shirt is not all the way down to the top of her shorts or top of her underwear, but it's not sexy anymore because she is in the truest sense of the word, she is grotesque. And I just thought that was a really interesting thing. And I just thought that was really interestingly done. And I sort of didn't notice that. What I mean is notice the, like, you see her nude and then you see her almost nude but carved up. I didn't notice that sort of comparison until this time that I watched it for this podcast. And I don't want to press that too hard. It's also about showing a young hot girl topless,
and then trying to figure out how to like justify that. But I do see what you mean, and I do think that's interesting.
Right.
And she's not the perceived immoral one. I mean,
right.
It's really interesting that in many ways, Jenna Malone. I don't care what her name is. I'd love to get to know her. Jenna Malone's character is clearly the official heroine, the troubled heroine.
Yes.
But the blonde really is the one that, as you said, is the subject of most everything.
Yes.
Really most everything.
Yes.
The German has quite a day.
It's true. Good thing we amputated
He seems
his leg.
like a nice guy. I wish it had worked out better for him.
I wish it worked out better for everybody.
Now, one thing we do need to talk about is that I saw the uncut version, which has a different ending than the theatrical ending, and they actually has two separate endings. There's three different endings you can watch.
Endings. That's right. Have you seen all of them? Did you watch all of them?
I have. I watched all of them.
Because it's interesting that you say the second they got onto the pyramid, you knew they weren't leaving. In the original theatrical version, she gets away.
Which is a cop-out. Well, yeah, it's a cop-out. It's a total cop-out.
I guess.
Nah, I mean, I was like, no, you don't.
I mean,
But
I don't
that's fine.
really care.
I guess there's never really a point where you see her touch the plants. Well,
Yes,
no,
there
she's
is.
standing in there at the beginning.
She's the first person. She's the first person.
So the fact she's done, like, I just knew it. I thought that was a cop-out. And then I read, I read something about it, and the director was like, people had been punished too much. We couldn't end it like that. And I was like, have you never made a horror movie before? You can absolutely end it like that. You can kill everybody. That's the point of horror movies. So I was a little bit like, I did think it was an interesting, you're talking about the blonde as the one that sort of has any conscience and is also the one who, as you said, is sort of pure, kind of, as much as she could be, but is the one who gets punished the most. And Jenna Malone's character is the one that's sort of the most dodgy, and she's the one who basically gets away in the end.
That's an interesting point.
And her character doesn't really grow or change.
No.
No one really grows or changes.
No.
That's why I thought it was an interesting choice. Like, I'd love to ask Jenna Malone, like, why this movie? Not even mad, not like critical, just like, I would like to know what drew her to this movie.
Sure.
You know?
There's a lot of, this is just my opinion, there's a lot of good crying in this movie. Like, we talked a lot about crying through Project Melway because Mel Gibson is the greatest male crier in Hollywood. But
he really is. But
Jonathan Tucker does a reasonable facsimile of, like, the understated contemplative Mel cry. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
That one where
which one's Jonathan Tucker?
Jenna Malone's boyfriend, the doctor.
Sure,
the doctor.
Sure. The med student.
Yes, because there's that scene right after it comes out that she, you know, dallied with Matthias the night before.
Except that she kind of didn't. Well, whatever.
Not the point. You're absolutely right.
You're right.
I think at that point the blonde was not in her right head when she was going because much of her insides were on her outsides.
I mean that happens from time to time.
That would mess me up too.
Yeah, it's problematic.
And then the two of them, she and Jonathan Tucker, Jen Malone and Jonathan Tucker are talking, and he's just like looking straight ahead and like I got to be all business because I don't want to deal with what just happened, and he's like red-eyed, eyes brimming but not actually crying. I was like, I've seen Mel do that before. I like that cry.
Well, he's learns from the best. That
Yep.
actor has always gotten on my nerves.
He kind of gets it. This is the only performance of his that I can stand.
He
I
was in
didn't
a
even.
he was in a show that I watched for all 7 episodes. They showed it on, I think, Fox, called The Black Donnellys.
Oh, I remember the show. I didn't watch
I watched it with my buddy Emily, and we loved it. We were the two. We were the two
it.
people in
Good.
America.
Good for you.
And I don't mean to speak ill of him. I think he does a fine job. There's just something about him that does not.
Right.
I don't. It just gets to me.
I didn't.
I don't know what it
I
is.
didn't even like.
Also,
it
I
in
did like
Parenthood.
the fact that they were like, listen to him. He's pre-med. Like, it reminds me of that line in Animal House where he's like, the
Right.
guy's like, you should start drinking, and the other guy goes, listen to him. He's pre-med.
Right. For all of our listeners and viewers who haven't made it to their undergraduate studies yet, pre-med means exactly nothing.
I'm pre-med right now.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Andy and I are both pre-med.
I'm also pre-law, and I've already been through law school.
I'm perpetually pre-med.
Yes. Yes. It's you can get a BS degree in a science. This is a different kind of BS degree.
This is a whole different thing.
So which is not to
It would
say
be pretty
med
great if
school
someone.
is.
I would love now, the next time someone says to me, I'm pre-med. Well, I don't know when that would happen. To be able to just be like, oh, that doesn't mean anything. Like, right to their face. Oh,
Right.
that's not a thing.
Right. Oh.
You're taking classes in college, basically.
Right. I majored in drama. Your major, not
Right. Right.
not in a vacuum more useful than mine.
My freshman year, I was thinking about being a poli-sci major until I took a poli-sci class, and then I was like, no.
Sure.
But my roommate across the hall, who was a senior, I was like, I'm thinking about being a poli-sci major, and he goes, why? And I was like, I don't know, I guess I like politics in America, and he goes, read a newspaper for the next 4 years, and you will have a better education than a poli-sci degree. And I was like, that's helpful. So not only did I not become a poli-sci major, I also didn't read a newspaper. So I feel like I did a good job.
Nice.
Really.
Well done there. Well done there. And you can't.
But I
even-
went on the
you're
internet
too
a
old-
lot.
You were too old for that to be a full excuse, though.
But I went on the internet a lot, so
Oh,
it all
good.
worked out.
Fantastic. Let's see. I appreciate the use of bows and arrows.
I agree with you. And
That
Death
was
by Bow and
fun.
Arrow, I was impressed by that too.
That was fun. That was fun. I also, we spoke about it earlier, I appreciate the willingness to kill a kid. They just straight up murder that child.
You know what else great? First of all, they straight up murder that child, and it's fantastic.
It is fantastic.
As a parent, I thought it was great. And
Sure.
the other thing that I loved about it was, again, because, and maybe I'm just too smart for the movie, and I mean, I'm saying that sarcastically, but the moment the plant touched the kid, I was like, oh, they're gonna shoot him. Like, it was
You're right.
it was one of those things
Yeah.
where I was like, well, say goodbye to your kid.
Yes.
And then they were like, they shot the kid. I was like, but what killed me about that moment is they were like, oh my god, they shot the kid. I was like, right, use your brain. They shot the kid right after what? Like,
yeah, but
no, hold on, let me finish
Okay,
my thought.
okay.
They panic,
right,
and I get the panic, because they just saw a kid getting shot.
right, straight up murdered. Go ahead.
Straight up murdered. Which, when you think about it in retrospect, it was a mercy killing, though.
Hey,
Knowing what
agreed.
you know.
Yes,
But
yes.
but like once you know what you know, like I'm one of those guys with the zombie thing where it's like, you know they're gonna turn into a zombie, right? Right. Why don't you go ahead and shoot them before
Right.
the whole agonizing? Because the thing about zombie death is if you get bit by a zombie in the arm, you're gonna not only are you gonna turn into a zombie, but you're gonna die first. But everything we know about zombie movies is that's gonna be an agonizing death.
Yes.
Like, you are in pain, excruciating pain for the last whatever period of time before you die.
Right.
Likewise with the death by plants from this movie. So like I'd be one of those guys where it's like, oh, the plant touched you, let's shoot that person in the face right now. Can we do that?
You're right. You're
So,
right.
but
yes.
but so what they should have done, because they're not the smartest people in the world, but he is pre-med, Andy. What I want to see is, so they're like, oh my god, we got to get to the top of the pillar. Now once they get to the top of the pillar, they need to go, wait a minute. Why did they shoot? Someone needs to go, why did they shoot that kid? Before they say, hey, let's send the German down the hole in the middle of the dark. Before all that craziness. Before that mashugana, all right? before that Michigas. How about that? Before that Michigas. What they need to do, you're welcome. What they need to do is they need to go, wait a minute. Remember when they shot that kid in cold blood in the face? Yeah. Okay. What happened right before that? Why the kid? Well, let me see. Remember that plant that was all weird looking? You threw that plant and it touched him. Hey, wait a minute. I've touched that plant. Let's think about that a little bit. That's all I'm saying.
Now, see, they do that. They don't do it for long. It's only yes, they do. I promise they do.
Oh, I believe you. I'm registering shock, not disbelief.
It's nice. Well parsed. That's a well parsed facial expression. That's true. They certainly don't do it, shall we say, to maybe your satisfaction or mine, but because they certainly don't dwell on it. But it's like, wait, why did that happen? And someone says something to the effect of, he touched the plant, and
I must have missed that.
And it's absolutely, it's meant for you to miss. It's like underneath.
They're like, oh, he touched the plant. Never mind. Let's go down that hole.
No. Something happens. I don't know if that's when they hear the cell phone ringing for the first time.
Maybe that's it.
Like something big, something worthy of distracting them.
I don't ever want to be in a horror film because I never want to be in any situation that resembles anything from The Hills Have Eyes, The Ruins, The Crazies, House of a Thousand Corpses, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween. I don't ever want to be in any of those things, hence the point of the horror movie, but let me finish my thought.
Okay.
But were I'm not saying I'd live, but I'd be smarter. I might die, but I'd die having any semblance of a clue of what was going on.
I wouldn't die stupid.
I'd die in the middle of dialing 911. I would.
Right.
Or like Jenna Malone stays back at the hotel and contracts herpes and dies. But that's more realistic to me. Like, to my understanding, like, I'd be like, I would be like, that would be the movie. The movie would be like, I'm not going with you guys to the ruins, and then the hotel ends up being haunted. But at least I didn't go to the ruins.
Right.
Like, my last thought before dying in the haunted hotel would be like, yeah, but at least I didn't go to the ruins, am I right?
Right. This has to be better than whatever they're dealing with.
Whatever they're doing has to be worse than this.
Very quickly, and I literally want to talk about this not at all. A fatal case of herpes? Really? That's a pretty tough case of herpes. Okay.
Mexico. I don't know what happens there.
Right. Man. Who knows Mexican herpes?
Andy, water gives you diarrhea. The thing that gives you life in Mexico gives you diarrhea. Up is down, black is white. I don't know what's going on. I'm just saying.
War is peace, obey big brother. Yes, no, it's true. You're right.
Dogs and cats living together.
Mass hysteria. Yeah, you're right. No, you're right.
So I don't know. But I can't call it an enjoyable movie because I really don't like horror films. But I'm going to continue to watch them for reasons that no one understands.
I am giving you these movies to watch, Phil, and I don't understand it.
Partially for the game of it. Like, I am going to go see The Conjuring. It's going to be a terrible idea, but I'm going to go see it.
Godspeed.
But I'm not going to go see VHS 1 or 2, and I'm not going to go see, what was that movie? You know which one.
I don't. You're going to have to give me more than
it's coming out this summer, and you want to see it, and it's a horror movie.
Oh,
it's called like I Am Better Than You, or Your Mother.
Insidious 2?
No, there's another one. It's got like a really kind of confrontational title.
You're Next.
See, I'm Better Than You, or Your Mom. I was close. You're Next. I saw the title to that, and I was like, I will never see that movie. Literally, The title scares me. Anybody telling me I'm next, I am not interested in seeing that movie.
Have you noticed the viral? I mean, it's not.
That's
online.
why I saw one poster for it, and I was like, nope.
It's like,
nope.
Folks, if you haven't seen these, they are. It's as terrifying as a poster can be. What they'll do is they'll have a poster for like the Wolverine, right? But then underlaid, like, behind the image of Hugh Jackman with his claws out is the evil character from Your Next, as if, like, as if it's like a reflection. So you're looking at it, and this thing is basically standing behind you. It's horrifying. It's horrifying, and I love it.
I hadn't even seen that. I was talking about the ones with just the people and the
Just the
animal
people.
masks.
All right.
But
Well,
what you just said, I'm now looking at.
and it's horrifying, right?
I want to die a lot.
I know. So
Oh my gosh.
I have my next movie for you.
Okay,
But
I was going
you
to
wanted
suggest something.
Yeah, fire away.
Let's never do this again. Let's watch comedies. No, I'm kidding. We're going to go on vacation for 3 weeks.
I know.
So do you want to give me more than one?
Ooh.
See what I would see? Actually, you thought I was going to go one way. You thought I was going to zig. I zagged.
That's great. That's okay.
One of my least favorite things is
Bully
when
for
you
you.
don't think I'm funny. when I don't amuse you, even amuse you. Like right now you're laughing and I'm back on solid ground. But if I say something and you're like, that's great. Like I laugh along, but there's a little part of me that's like, I'm gonna go lie down for a while.
You always amuse me. It's just
I
sometimes
live and die by your approval, Andy.
I'm telling you, and well, then you can stay alive because I always approve. But sometimes I go for the meta joke by
I know,
seeming
and I
not to
appreciate it.
approve.
I
know
appreciate
you
it.
do.
I appreciate it hypothetically, but in the moment I want to die.
Fair enough. I am going to give you two movies. Both of them remakes
Okay.
of the same director's movies. I'm going to give you the Dawn of the Dead remake.
Fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome. And because you've seen the remake of the other one, the original of The Crazies.
I love what you did there.
I thought you might.
Wait, no. How are they the same filmmaker?
George Romero
Made the Crazies?
made the original Crazies and, of course, the original Dawn of the Dead. Yes.
No, I didn't know he made the Crazies.
Yes, sir. It's
My
why I
world
s-
just got
it's why I saw
shot
it.
upside down.
It's why I saw it in the first place. Yeah.
My world upside down, Andy. Upside down.
I
Okay.
mean,
Well, I'm gonna watch that then.
I'm very
And I'm gonna take it a step further. Do you know the last time I saw the original Dawn of the Dead was?
It was a while ago.
With you at Zombie Palooza.
Holy crap! Okay.
I don't watch horror movies more than once
Fair.
because they're terrible to my heart and soul. But I'm gonna watch Dawn of the Dead again because it's been a while.
Okay.
I bought Dawn of the Dead for someone once.
Nice. It wasn't you. You didn't buy it.
No, I've bought it and it wasn't for me.
Okay.
My friend Patrick, the only horror movie that I will watch on repeat is Zombieland.
Sure.
Because it's funny enough that I'm able to do it, and it's got Woody Harrelson, who is secretly one of my favorite actors.
Sure. And it's also not a horror movie. But go
Don't
ahead.
tell Woody. Either way, you're right. I mean, you're right, but you know what I mean. It's scary. It's a scary comedy. It's
Okay.
got scary moments.
Sure.
Just stop. Just stop.
Look.
So anyways-
I got scared by plants. You didn't. I'm not scared by Zombieland. You were. That's at
No, I
least
mean,
a watch.
I wasn't
or it
scared
comes
by
out in
it,
your
but it
favor.
has horror and gore and moments of things jumping at
Fair.
you.
Yes.
And the climax, there's death as a possibility. So
Yes.
that's what I mean by that.
That is fair. That's
Anyways,
a fair point.
I kept my friend's copy of Zombieland. Like, he lent it to me, and then I was like, well, I'm never giving this back, and I didn't. But then he kept asking for it, and I felt really bad because he's a good friend of mine. So I sent him a new copy of Zombieland along with a new copy of Dawn of the Dead, which he never owned. And he was like,
Oh, nice.
nice, man. And I was like, you know what? Every once in a while, I try to be a class act and make up for the fact that I just straight up stole something that my friend had.
This other time in our history, I was not a class act.
Well, you think about it, it's like if you borrow something from somebody and they're like, and then you're like, I think I'm going to keep this, or like, oh, I'm going to buy this for myself, right? You borrow something from somebody and you think, I'm going to buy this for myself. Except, why don't you just give them the new copy? Because you're the one who took something from them in the first place. You should do them a solid and buy them a new copy. That's
I did
that's
that.
new etiquette.
Yes, I have done that. I had to buy someone. I was just like, I kept.
Do you know why
this
you
thing.
did it?
Yeah, because I wasn't going to give them the beat up copy of their. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
do you know why? And do you know why you weren't going to? Because you're a class act.
I try to be.
Okay, so the original The Crazies and the remake of Dawn of the Dead.
If you want to
Love it.
watch, and I Certainly. I mean, it's my favorite horror movie of all time, probably. If you want to watch the original Dawn of the Dead, I certainly won't stop you. And
Well,
if
I
you want
figure we
to,
should talk about Dawn of the Dead
oh, no. This is why we're doing it. And
together.
so if you want to, and we won't do both Dawn of the Dead and the Crazies in the same horror school, but so you're working ahead a little bit. So if you want to do the same thing with the Crazies and rewatch the remake, you're welcome to. We don't have to. There is going to be one point of comparison that I am absolutely going to make because I think it is one of the most interesting things in all of George Romero's filmography.
Okay.
So, and it is a difference from the it is handled differently than the remake.
I am interested in your viewpoint and would like to subscribe to your newsletter.
You got it, baby. So this will bring us so for the next time, kids, if you want to study along, Dawn of the Dead and the Crazies.
There you go.
The movies I have assigned are the new Dawn of the Dead and the old The Crazies. But if you'd like to watch the corresponding originals and remakes, I certainly won't stop you. And that'll do it for another installment of Horror School here at Second Breakfast Podcast.
Hate it.
And yet you keep attending school.
Well, I am scared of truancy.
Nice. You want to get that pin. Perfect attendance.
It's true.
For Second Breakfast, I'm Andy Roth, and that's Phil Duvall. This has been Horror School. Class dismissed.
Bye-bye.
The most important meal of the day, second breakfast.